up with Joey?
It was just a break.
What nearly happened?
The Miller Richard has been cheating on me.
Mimi siwezi kuvunja moyo wa Joy nikijua.
When you break ni muda gani?
Break me a week in bed.
I cannot have Joey leave Richard.
She met up with someone I have never seen before.
Maybe it's a friend from the past.
Well, that hug doesn't look platonic, does it?
Wajuaje Joy anafanya nini huko nje? Anafasi yake.
Hatuonani kwa wiki mbili, nitajuaje kama Joy ni wa kwangu ama sio kwangu?
Well, thank you for your time. How juicy.
Juicy. Juicy.
Weka Collabo na Shell, Shinda Fuso FI is back and bigger. Weka Collabo na Shell Fuels plus Shell Lubricants, Africa's Oshopata convenience shop. To enter the draw, dial *384*200#, enter the code from your voucher and follow the prompts. Terms and conditions apply.
This is NTV.
Hello there, it's just after 7 o'clock in Nairobi and you're just on time for your world this Tuesday, the 11th day of the month of May. Now, to the rest of the world, celebrities often appear to have it all: the success, the fame, the money, and literally having everyone to bend to their whims. But behind the curtains of this life on the fast lane, many celebrities have actually been secretly battling depression, which sometimes leads to substance abuse and on tragic occasions, even suicide. And for many people, the big question always is, why? My name is Victor Kiprop and this is Your World. Coming up, many Kenyan celebrities are falling into depression, but they're afraid to talk about it. Today, we highlight their hidden struggles.
Prioritize funding for mental health issues.
Parliament and civil society organizations want the national government to increase the national budget allocation towards mental health from 0.01% to 0.5%. Tunisia turns to other countries for assistance as it struggles to meet its oxygen needs. And shops selling non-essential goods in the Czech Republic are open after a 5-month lockdown due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Life on the fast lane, money, fame, literally everything that we all pray and hope for. But celebrities are still falling into depression, and that's why we ask you this morning, why do you think so many celebrities are falling into depression? You can engage us at NTV Kenya and at Victor Kiprop _ on Twitter. Use the hashtag #NewNormal. You could also follow the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube, and also on YouTube, where you could be part of it. Later on, we'll also open up our lines. You could call in and ask a question or comment to be part of the conversation. But just before that, let's give you a quick update of the coronavirus situation across the world and in Kenya. And this is the latest numbers according to Corona Tracker. 155,827,941. That's the number of people who've been confirmed with COVID-19 so far across the world. 134,015,119 of them have recovered from the virus, but sadly we've lost 3,255,399 people to COVID-19 so far since it was first reported in China in December of 2019. Let's bring it closer home now, and this are the latest figures according to the Ministry of Health. And 163,620, that's the number of people who have been confirmed so far to have contracted COVID-19 in Kenya. 112,298,000 of course have recovered both at home and in hospital, but sadly we've lost 2,907 people to COVID-19 so far. That's at least according, of course, since it was first reported in Kenya on the 13th day of the month of March last year. But we continue to urge you to follow the protocol set out by the Ministry of Health. That means you should mask up at all times, wash your hands or sanitize as regularly as you can, and of course maintain the 1.5 meters social distance. Let's now give you a quick update of what else is happening across the African continent. Now, Kenya's Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has congratulated the KCSE class of 2020 for posting an exemplary performance in an exam that he notes was undertaken in difficult times when the COVID-19 pandemic forced them out of school for 7 months. The class of 2020 is also plagued by several other challenges, including teenage pregnancies and the recurrent cases of exam cheating, as my colleague Leila Mohammed now reports.
The class of 2020 recorded a significant improvement in its performance, according to the just released KCSE examination results. CS George Magoha states that 893 candidates obtained an overall grade A, with results posting a significant improvement in performance in 19 subjects compared to the previous academic year. Although 751,150 candidates registered to sit the exams, 747,161 candidates managed to actually do the examinations between March and April 2021, a departure from the October date that was the norm.
The number of candidates with minimum university entry qualification, which is grade C+ and above, rose to 143,140. Representing 19.03%.
But even as the candidates celebrated the wins, which was congratulated by President Uhuru Kenyatta when he received the report at State House Nairobi Monday, the thorny issue of cheating is persistently pricking the side of the stakeholders.
In one case, it was alleged that a school principal screenshot questions, disseminated, and even went ahead to post them on her WhatsApp profile. Really unthinkable that one can even put these things on the profile. In yet another case, a senior teacher's cell phone containing screenshots of questions of a paper was recovered as the cell phone was being transported to a candidate who was sitting the examination at a hospital. We have also been notified by NEC of a teacher who posed as an examiner and accessed an examination center.
Just like he did in the KCPE examinations, President Kenyatta asked the Ministry of Education to consider cheating cases on case-by-case basis and not hand down any blanket decisions.
We have cancelled results, very few indeed, from only a total of 287 individuals where we had enough proof.
TSC says that while teachers were implicated in this latest charge, they may need to do more to exempt those who are innocent.
If investigators can examine and conduct a forensic analysis of fingerprints of the people who tamper with examination materials right from when they are released from the containers. To this end, we have resolved to launch a transparent process of biometric enrollment and validation of teachers.
As the class of 2020 celebrates a stellar performance and looks forward to its next level of their academic life, the Ministry of Health is now planning for a full calendar in 2022 where many exams will be held.
We'll have 5 examinations this year. The 2021 KCPE and KCSE will be held in March 2022. That is the year that in December next year, that will be the year that we shall do the first grade 6 summative examination. As we are aware, His Excellency the President has sworn in a permanent secretary specifically to midwife, the competency-based curriculum changes.
The prolonged holiday due to COVID-19 restrictions has contributed largely to the number of girls who have done their examinations while in labor or having just delivered, a worrying pattern. Bungoma, Meru, Kisii, Nakuru and Nandi counties contributed to the 667 number reported in the 2020 KCSE exam class.
We would want to find out what is happening at that level. And since this is one government, that's why even though he's in the university sector, we are going to work together. I will also get involved there. We must get to the root cause, Dr. Katuru. Why? Who is it that is hoodwinking our children?
In this regard, the CS has urged parents to offer the greatest support to the girl child. He particularly called for greater support and protection for learners who sat the 2020 KCPE examination and are expected to remain at home until July 26, 2021, when they will join Form 1 class. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Also, Madagascar has received its first batch of 250,000 AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccines through the COVAX Global Sharing Scheme, one of the last countries in Africa to obtain the jabs following months of resistance by the president. While countries across the globe scramble to secure doses of the precious shots, Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina showed little interest in inoculation and instead continued to promote a locally brewed herbal drink as the only required coronavirus cure. But an unprecedented resurgence in infections last month forced him to bow to pressure and criticism of his handling of the pandemic and agree to a vaccine rollout. Right, and despite vaccinating at least 60% of its population, the Seychelles is facing a sharp rise in the number of coronavirus infections, with the Foreign Affairs and Tourism Minister Sylvester Radegonde saying the situation was worrying but currently manageable. The Indian Ocean archipelago recorded an average of 1,223 new infections per 100,000 inhabitants last week, the highest number of infections globally in proportion to its population. And one of the countries, of course, 61% of the country's 98,462 inhabitants have already received 2 doses of the vaccine, and 70% have received at least 1, according to the Ministry of Health. To the north of the continent now, and Tunisia is struggling to meet its oxygen needs and is turning to European countries and even the neighboring Nigeria for assistance as the country battles what Prime Minister Hichem Mushishi said was the country's worst health crisis in its history. On Sunday, the country started a week of coronavirus restrictions covering the Eid holiday as hospitals battle to stay afloat as COVID-19 cases soar, but videos shared on social media appear to show almost normal activity in several other parts of the country, including people without masks and failing to respect social distancing. The country of almost 12 million has officially recorded more than 321,000 coronavirus cases and over 11,400 deaths. More than 500 people are currently in intensive care. Right, let's get into that discussion now with this story. And as at February this year, 1 in every 4 Kenyans had a mental health condition that needed to be attended to, with over 12 million in a need of a society that is safe, supportive, and responsive to their mental health conditions. Now, 3 months ago, the Kenya Parliamentary Caucus on Sustainable Development Goals and Business, together with the officials from Kisumu County Government and partners from various civil society organizations, launched a program in a bid to promote the quality of mental health care in Kenya. Among the recommendations made after the successful forum is that the national government needs to increase the national budget allocation towards mental health from 0.01% to 0.5%. The county governments have also been called upon to allocate budget codes for mental health.
Of mental health. That way, we can voluntarily seek help whenever there is need.
So we need to be able to come together as a country. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You've not done anything wrong. Your government can only plan for you if you come forward.
I'm glad to be really championing and being an ambassador of mental health, and ask the county government of Kisumu and Migori and Siaya and Homa Bay and every other county government to prioritize funding for mental health issues in their counties, to be able to address the issue that is mental health in Kenya.
Right now is to ensure that we work with the county assembly and executive to ensure that there's increase in financing, to ensure that there's service delivery, and to improve mental health in the community.
Right, celebrities, they live on the fast lane, the money, the fame, and literally having everyone to bend on their whims. But just like you and I, they also, of course, face depression. And some of them in Kenya have actually fallen into depression. But the challenge with coming out is the issue of stigma. And this morning, we tackled that conversation with my guests who will help us delve why do we have an increase in cases of depression among Kenyan celebrities, and why is it just so hard to come out? This morning, of course, I'm joined in studio by Pete Odera. Of course, he's an artist on the other side of studio. Welcome to the show, Pete.
Good morning, Victor. It's so nice to be here.
All right. Also joining us this morning is Omosh. Omosh, mambo vipi?
Fiti kuruka.
Karibu kwenye show. All right, and joining us virtually this morning is cartoon comedian, of course, from the name, she's comedian. I'll be telling you guys her real name if she permits me. And of course, she's joining us virtually this morning. Cartoon, mambo vipi? Karibu kwenye show.
Asante poa.
All right, and of course, Hellen Mtawali, she's the CEO of Afrizo Voices. You know her from TPF. She's been singing. She's been doing this for 30 years, and she'll be going to be telling us exactly her experience in the last 30 years in this industry and the societal pressure that it comes with it, and how she has managed to cope. But because this is an element of a medical element, we have Dr. George Njoroge. He's a psychologist with Chiromo Hospital Group, and he's joining us. Daktari, good morning. Karibu.
Thank you.
All right, and now just before we get you into that conversation, let me even just start here. Peter, I mean, for all of us who are here, it's the money, the fame, thousands of fans who look up to you. Everywhere you go, you stay in the biggest of hotels, you drive in the biggest of limousines. It's literally what each one of us wants in this life. And then you're told, Pete is not happy.
First of all, I think that's an image that has been created for the most part by what I call social media, and just the whole idea that this is the life that so-called celebrities live. And I think it's part of the problem with our society at large, that we view celebrities like that. For sure, there's a number, but few, who have reached that status where now everywhere they go, they're probably recognized globally and so on, and they have financial capacity to help them in every aspect of their lives. But this is not fulfilling, you know, having had many #1 hits myself, you know, traveled, been on the same stage as Grammy Award winners, actually recorded and produced with a few, just hobnobbing with these guys, and sometimes, you know, you're on a private jet going from this place to that place. It's a privilege only because of the gift that you have. The reality is, when I go back home, I'm just Pete. You know, my wife doesn't call me superstar, reverend, doctor. No, that's not what she calls. You know, she calls me the name that I won't share in public. And to my kids, you know, my daughters, I'm dad. You know, I'm not the superstar. And this is the problem, is that many of us are still defining our lives by the gift that we have, by the likes, by the money that we're getting paid. It's a wrong measure, and unfortunately Kenya has reached this place where we admire the rich and the powerful rather than respect and honor people for just being regular.
Oh, really? But Pete, surely, even before I know we'll come to the bit about how much, of course, artists get paid, but let's assume you get paid well, and you, Pete, are this person who brushes shoulders with the who and who's of this world, going from concert to concert, you know, jet to jet, airports to hotels and all that. And that's the life I want, Pete.
Is it really? I think if you ask any very successful person, and I've talked to them, I mean, I remember sitting with, this is a Dove Award and I think Grammy Award nominee on a dinner one day. This was my sort of first experience with this whole thing, that you reach a global status. And we were sitting there, and not 10, not 15 minutes into this dinner conversation, that this man who I'd been admiring from afar burst out into tears. And he said, my life is falling apart. And I said, how can it be falling apart and you have everything that we want? And I realized that it's fleeting. It's fleeting. These things don't give you fulfillment. And I think that this is the thing that many of us, unfortunately, because we don't have access, there's very few people who are actually very successful. In 2017, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics said that only less than 3% of Kenyans earn over 100,000 shillings. So it's very few. It's a very few people. And, you know, I know a lot of artists, and not many artists are as successful as they appear. So I just want to set that straight. And I don't just mean in Kenya, I mean globally. The reality is, normal life is constantly fighting to pull them back like gravity. And I think that that's the thing, that we need to begin to understand, that it's a faulty measure, that if somebody is famous or somebody is gifted, that they're successful. I've known incredible musicians who are horrible people, you know, and you wouldn't want to share dinner with them. But I've also known musicians who are fantastic people, and I think that this begins to knock at some of the problems. Is that we actually admire ourselves. We begin to believe our hype. I won the, you know, we founded the Kisima Awards, but somebody won this award. You got this, you got this, and so we begin to define ourselves by these things, and that's not really who you are. So I think it's important for us to have a reality check on because the money, even though it comes, I mean, for sure there's people who've gotten paid a lot of money. But that's not everything.
And that brings a very valid point of a reality check, because we know Pete is always smiling, but deep down, you know, is breaking down. And I think Omosh has, to a certain extent, gone through this. Omosh, si tulikuwa tunajua Omosh, you know, Omosh yule watahidi hai, alikuwa freshi, anafanya mambo yake fiti, alafu kidogo Omosh akapotea, kidogo unaambiwa, Omosh hayuko fiti, Omosh ni kama asikii vizuri, Omosh ni kama ako depression. Kuliendaje?
Well, to say the truth is that, you know, vile mnonaga tukatu na do, sometimes watunaga hizo do, and then we have so many bills to maybe take care of. You have to take care of your family, school fees, maybe you have that big family, and then you're not paid that much. You know, sometimes even go to an extent of even going to side hustle, whereby the program you're just shooting doesn't sustain what you have. So you go to the side hustle, maybe you go to schools, entertainments, hotels, those children's shows, and then all of a sudden they're all closed. What I do? And then you just go for 1 year now. The landlord is on your neck. The kids are on your neck. The school fees is on your neck. And then the mama mboga is on your neck. Mtawali is on your neck. Because sometimes even gas you can't afford, man. You know, just go to Mtawali, the petty guys that want to see you with your can because you're just there on debt. Then you just kind of go to the street. You just, anyone you meet, come kidogo. And then because you know you're famous, see ati unado, because they like your character. Mtu anakwambia jo sina so mbili lakini niko na so. Then like when you meet two guys, the family is just okay.
And Omosh at that point, sasa msee anakuambia nijenge so mbili na anajua Omosh hizi kosa so mbili na wewe huna.
Kabisa.
How do you even tell them that you don't have?
You know, one thing is that I'm not shy. I have confidence. I don't shy. You know, look at me. Everywhere, all my jobs are closed, and for 1 year I don't have an income. The little I had, I used to do 1, 2, 3 things. And then I have also my parents who also depend on me. You see? You know, sometimes you even feel ashamed. You go to your old mom, telling mom to give you sombili. Instead of mom, instead you giving mom sombili. And it's hurting. But sometimes what you have to do, you just have to face it. And don't have to fear. Come out, please.
Okay.
Or else you die. Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. Now, but Kabla, even before you came out, because your story really shocked a lot, it really shook the country because they didn't know what you were going through. Talk to us about how it felt just before you decided to talk about it.
Sorry?
Situation ilikuwaje before you talked about it, because ilistua wase wengi sana kwamba Omosh alikuwa anapitia mambo kama haya. Tuambie vile ilikuwa before, of course, uamue kuzungumza.
The situation was so worse. You know, I had a bill, you know, it's kind of your landlord has gone to an extent of telling you now, get out of my house and I don't even need that payment again. Just go and help yourself. And then you kind of ask him, where am I going to? Okay, you need a deposit. You don't have it. So you just like kind of pick him and go to Nambia, God, please hold this landlord for me. And surely, let me tell you, there's a God in heaven. And akushikilia. You know, it went like 4-6 months. Akinisumbua. And then after that, he stopped. Sasa mimi used to live in fear. Ujamaa mnapangaje? Will he come with a malaria, chukuizi vitu or something like that? But I used to pray. And then meals were a problem.
Okay.
You know, just wake up, you don't have anything, you don't know who you're going to, you just dress neatly, hit the road.
Okay.
Anyway you see, it was tough. You know, sometimes you kind of feel like, why am I in this world? Surely, nandu nini?
And of course, na ukifika hiyo point ndio sasa msee anaanza kuconsider other options ya
to
ease your pain.
Suicide. Suicide comes first. You're like, mimi acha tu ataniende tu. But then sometimes you come to nikienda anawachia. So that pulls you back. If you told you really human. Others don't have that. They just go and they commit. Because one thing, life imefika, just end. Yani hakuna pengi ukiangalia pandai hakuna. You're in the ocean. Just get to drop yourself in the ocean.
Na kuna wengine hata kabla wafike hiyo part ya suicide, wengine wanaanza kuona ndio nisisikie hii uchungu, niache kufili uchungu, acha nitafute kitu kidogo nikunywe. Wengine wanafikiria mambo ya drugs kidogo ndio is the pain.
Definitely.
Ushaifika kwa situation kama hiyo?
Yeah. Why not? You know, friend tells you, okay, Omosh want me to give you 2 socks. Baska, let's go. Kula kanyama kidogo. You're like, anambia atulia Omosh. Kula kanyama, then have a drink. You know one thing, utakunywa kale ka drink ndio yeye atoboke ile so mbili. Na unapata unakunywa drink ya tao mbili Na lukuna mwomba tao, daka mwisho na kudunga so mbili. You sometimes wonder. But because you just want that so mbili so you can go and feed your family, you find yourself taking that drink. And then kidogo, you find out umepata so tano. To cool off your stress, you just go take a pint. And the funny thing is that you don't go to this expensive liquor. You go to this cheap liquor because you want to save. Unakunywa tu pombe tutogo. Sometimes you even opt changa. Reason, you have 5 stock. Okay, you want to get high. The stress imekuwa mob. Also, there's a family. So you have to balance. Lakini one thing is like you want to cool your brains. So lazima nitoe lock. Lakini kukuena unga, kuena nini. So we celebrities find ourselves in such situations.
Na ukiwa kwa hiyo situation, of course, unaendelea kuingia even deeper and deeper and deeper kabisa.
Yeah, it becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. Because ushazoea sasa. Then you can't live without it. So the first thing when you go out, the first money, unapata tuta from a friend or whatever, so that you can have confidence. You know, sometimes others are shy. Most artists are shy when you're not high. But when you're high, there's no one you can't face. You can even face the president. Wanazdo ni aje? Sina kitu tu unamdungia. Wanazdo ni aje? Lakini when you're kind of flat, you don't have that confidence.
Lakini kabla nikuachilia Omosh, hata hiyo wakati ukikunywa hiyo kitu ama uvute hiyo kitu bado inakufanya unapakoka courageous, lakini hiyo shida haijaenda.
Shida inaenda. Because it's worse. Sasa ukishapungua, sasa ndio inakuwa worse. You feel like, what did I do? You start regretting. That's why sometimes unajipata, okay, people that atakuacha nini kama hizo. And then the funny thing is that dakika mwisho unajipata umedukule. So when you get someone anakucancel or get someone atakuongelesha, you know, sometimes you feel like you go to church. Unaongea na pasi unasikia ni mlevi. But one thing, you need help. So others tunakuaga na hiyo uoga. I went even to churches. Not church moja, church mbili tatu. You just want to, you need someone to help you. So that you can just get out of that thing.
Asante. Wazi Omosh. And speaking of which, Hellen has just joined us. Look at you. You look so good.
I look different. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh, blush. Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
This is right where we are because that celebrity life, we all know Hellen. She's, you know, that big name. You know, singing.
See, sometimes I ask myself, where's the bigness? Iko happy? Nataka kuifeel, iko happy uzito.
But you see, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, you look at your social media, you know, you went for a small trip, maybe you were in Zanzibar, maybe you were in Rwanda.
Yes.
I mean, I also want that life. And I want, you know, the life where if I go to perform, 100,000 people come and see me. Alafu naambiwa umse hana furaha.
Ati hana furaha, yeah. It happens. Apparently, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hellen. Signature. My name is Hellen Olivia Kotomolo Nyarnyaka. Makine nakawuto tadwongo right there for unitoa South Africa. Mtawali. Anyway. Yeah, so
Bonge intro.
Yeah. Bonge. So you say in Luo, you have to pack yourself, pack bente soon. You know, pack yourself, and pretty much that's part of what actually makes us stay sober. Umosa akisema naguza hiyo kitu, sisi tunakuwa sober kwa sababu ya kujipako. Luo, we are called Luopians because Luo is kukaribu na Kisongo.
Look at you, you're so bubbly.
Yeah, of course.
And that's how literally everyone.
You have to find ways.
That's how every celebrity actually would look.
Yeah.
And then you told them they are in depression.
Some of them actually just go into the cocoon and then they just die of depression. Depression is real. And for me, if I were to tell you my story, I thought depression was a Mzungu disease. Until I realized that I had it in the house. I had it in the house, and I thought, I was like, my mother would tell me, if you feel depressed, tafuta Biblia, soma chapter. And I would do that. And somehow it actually taught me how to put issues aside and take care of me. But not knowing that right in my house, I had somebody who was depressed. And that was my daughter. And thank God. Long story cut short, that today she had to study psychology because of what was happening in her mind. And so you see that when you scare depression, you're like,
Wapi.
But until it gets to your house, then you see the reality of depression. And thank God she was over it. She's still working her way through through it, but she has taught me a lot. Because,
and part of this is because, and I know Pete told me to be careful
Yeah.
because people don't have the money that we think they have.
No,
but let's
they
assume
don't.
they have this
Yes,
money.
yes.
Part of the problem is we assume you have the money.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the fame.
Yes.
You have fans, my
Yes.
God, who worship you every day.
I know.
How can you not be happy?
I know. Because money also is not all. Money is not the solution. You might have all the money and everything, but when you don't have that inner man telling you that you're happy and you are good, you're feeling good, you will still be depressed.
Okay. Let me bring in a cartoon comedian here. I don't know if you'll allow me to use her name. But Cartoon, good morning. Unlike Pete, of course, and Hellen and Omosh, you're still very new in this industry. These are things that you're still going to face, of course, as you try to grow your career. But so far, and because I think we really started to know you from 2020. But so far, hii ni kitu ushaanza kurelate nayo?
Well, okay, na relate kidogo.
Ushajipata kwa situation yenye wewe ni cartoon comedian, si tunakujua wewe ni ule msee, alafu tuna direct translate kwamba basi kama cartoon ni ule tunamjua, ana move from interview to interview, lazima ako fiti, alafu tunapatana na wewe kwa matatu.
Ni pressure, ni experience, lakini nimejikuta maybe unajikuta tunaishi life yako venye kwa kitambo. Ati huwezi enda stage, huwezi buy mtush mtaa, huwezi tembea mguu, huwezi panda mat, huwezi vaa slippers. So inakam kama shock, na I think kitu inaleta hii pressure yote ni fans. Wanakuwa kwa hiyo pressure but wanasahau. Juu ya different. Maybe mimi ni celeb kama na get your attention, but pia at some point wanapata job inaisha, ni venye tu hawajulikani. But ndo wanasema Cartoon mbona ako hivi. I think hii job ni kama any other job, na mkasubuhi unapiga shughuli, but maybe leo artist mwingine anatokea, kesho maybe hakuna job, hakuna kazi, hakuna anything, then unaanza kuishi. Of course kama una do hizi ishi Lavington, unasijisikia kitu kaya unless nikayeskio.
Na ukiangalia kama hizo likes unapatanga, kwa sababu kuna wakati unaweka video unapata by jioni 50,000, 100,000 Kenyans wameona hiyo view, hiyo video. Alafu pale jioni we hata una kitu ya kula. Have you ever found yourself in a situation like that?
Ni shy, sasa nikudanganya, ni shy. Alafu I think depression inaingianga time uwezi sema kuhusu unaogopa ati utaibika, ati mbona ukusave, mbona ukufanya nini. Ni shy, but I think I nearly come out of it times.
Okay. Let me bring in someone at least who understands this from a medical perspective, Dr. George Njoroge. Dr. Good morning. From a medical perspective, it is valid that someone can be, have all this, what we would all want to have, and still not be happy. Right?
Sorry, come again?
Yes, my question was, it's valid from a medical point of view that you can have all these things that we are all chasing every morning, the money, perhaps the fame, the recognition and everything, but still not be happy?
Yeah, I agree. And let me first say that there are different factors that can lead to someone to get to that point where they have everything but still they're not happy. So one of the things that I've been able to identify, especially with people who are famous or who are celebrities, is the level of self-consciousness that they have. Number one, every person in the society, they have certain expectations towards them. So they may want to see them driving big cars, they want to see them living in high-end apartments and all that. But what really goes to the real life of the celebrities is the fact that that may not be the case all the time. So issues of anxiety and where they want to be in a particular place is not real. And that's where we bring the aspect of the ideal self. And when someone tries to fight the two, they get to the point where they get depressed, anxious, or even they get to the point where they cannot be able to cope well with the prevailing circumstances. And also other predisposing factors can come into play. For example, if an individual has traumas from the past, if they've had issues in childhood and now they have been thrown into the limelight, if things don't go well, they're likely to get depressed. So some of those things come into play.
Okay. And let me pick the one of those causes, especially the one that you say is societal pressure. Pete, this is something you can relate very well with, right?
Absolutely.
Sorry?
Wacha niseme tu vipoa. Fame ends. You know, fame ends. It's not going to be, you know, it's seasonal. You find when I was a kid in the 1970s, you had the Bee Gees. Nobody talks about the Bee Gees except die-hard fans. You know, so fame ends. Money also fails. So what I've discovered, though, is that life is in seasons. Now I'm in my middle ages, I'm 52, and I'm still bringing out songs, still writing. But what I've done is really try to get a hold of a true sense of my identity. Who am I? I'm not my gift. So that's number one. But secondly, also develop a circle of people around me who I can go to, who I can be real with. Whether it's a mentor or my family, just really be in that space where I think it helps.
But Pete, even before we get to the point about the fame fading, let's talk about when the fame is still there, the way, right where, of course, cartoon comedian Vanessa is her other name, is right now. There's the pressure that comes with it. She said you can't live in a certain estate. You know, you need to drive this kind of you can't be in a matatu, surely, Pete.
And this is the problem. What's wrong with driving a normal car? What's wrong with living in the place you've always lived in? I think this is, again, part of that thing. And it's very difficult to understand when you're outside. But this is the way I was brought up, to say, okay, fine, you're suddenly famous, but you're still you. And I think it's Barack Obama who said something interesting, that one day he was on his way, I think, home, during the campaign, and he called Michelle, and Michelle Obama says, and don't forget to bring the milk. And that's a real reality check. Lazima upitie kwa kiosk ulete maziwa home. The reality is this: you live a normal life, you still put on your trousers one leg at a time. And this is what I was saying, is that it doesn't matter how many people are screaming out your name. I think for me, because my upbringing was in the church, and I had good mentors who helped me to see that you have a great gift, but this is your character. You have to live a life of humility, walk with a real understanding and discernment. Because here's the other thing, you know, suddenly people come to you, and I think Omosh has said it, you know, people come to you from, because you're famous, they have expectations. And I think being able to communicate correctly and properly to some of the people who are coming to you to ask for money, you realize that people are using you. And the earlier you realize that, the better it is for you. And I think that absolutely. If you talk to the super successful, those who are A-listers, the reality is that pressure on them, you know, is very intense. It's very intense. And without the proper undergirding, it's very easy to collapse, really.
Okay. And maybe for Omosh, kwa hiyo story ya pressure, ushaijipata hata kabla tufike place huko leo, katika hiyo time yenye Omosh alikuwa Omosh, ushaijipata kwa situation yenye unafeel hauwezi enda hii place kuchill, wewe huwezi enda kwa hii hoteli bana na wewe ni Omosh, huwezi ishi kwa place kai na wewe ni Omosh?
However, mine is totally different. I can go to any hotel, nilikuwa naingia ukidhi yote, hata nikienda kutembea wapi, mimi as long as nimepalia kuna fish, although ndasumbuliwa, lakini sije kwa gana ile ego at I have to go to this and this hotel. No, even sleeping. Najipata umeenda pale kwa bush. Na kuna tu the only place mnezalala ni hapo. Nenda unalala. Na mko napiga sharu unaenda. Mimi sijawahi jipata in that situation whereby I'm choosy. I have to eat in this hotel. I have to talk to this kind of people. Mingled with people. That's why you see people came in support for me. A lot of people, yeah.
Hellen, I need some feedback, but let me just get your brief reaction.
Yeah, my reaction is depending on what you're struggling with as a celebrity. I remember one time I took a matatu, I got 5 times. My bag was sliced. And that's when I had to stop taking matatus. And if I take a matatu, maybe I take it with somebody else. So it depends. When they see you as a person who really has, then the pressure comes from the other area of the people who are surrounding you, because it makes you start now freaking. Am I supposed to be here? Even where you live, But for me, the good thing, I'm a woman. You live where people were supposed to live. Kwa sababu address imesema itabidi uende ukahame ukae naye pali and my family. So there I cannot dictate. And then one of the things I always remember, I went to America. When I got to America, I went to London, through London, and the guy at whatever was at the Czech airport asked me, "Excuse me, who are you?" Na hiyo nimemaliza kufanya Taska Project Fame season 2, kila mtu amenijua. Unakuja kuniambia hapa, who are you? You know me? Do I know you? That made me humble immediately. So I had to, that was a reality check. I had to remember, by the way, you're still a human being. You people, there are people who still don't know you anyway. This celebrity talk kwa kichwa. And you know, Alvan resonates with this because
and there's the challenge of course, then, if you want to survive this pressure, you have to live within your means.
You have to live within your means, by all means, because it gets to a point where now you have no money and you are afraid to walk. So you have to just tell yourself, convince yourself that you take sugar and tea and whatever, just like anybody else. Unaweza kuingia pale kwa kiosk na ukule tu kama watu wengine, bora imeingia kwa tumbo. Once in a while, I treat myself like a celebrity. It's called pay Hellen. Na ujaluo nayo. So sometimes, if I want to feel that, I will save up to that, and then I make sure that I treat Hellen like Hellen.
But you can't live
when people love cars, Hellen loves phones. Sasa ninanunua kama simu 7 hivi. Celebrity check. But after that, I'm like, you know what? You're still a human being. Go back to normal.
Wonderful. Let's get to hear what some of you, of course, have been saying. Remember, we asked you in our question of the day this morning, why do you think so many celebrities are actually falling into depression today? And why do you think, of course, it's very hard for them to come out? I think that's because of the stigma. And let's get to see what some of you have been saying on social media. James Ndugo, he says, because they don't live their lives, they live how their friends live, and in this world we are never equal, and we will never be. Thank you very much, James Ndugo. Very, of course, comprehensive. And it says, Robert Bukoke, he says, some due to being drunkards and women. Also, they set standards that they can't maintain. I think that's something we've quite addressed. Kyoko Kevin has 3 of them. He's listed. He says, 1, overspending. They want to live the life that is beyond their standards. Number 2, poor financial planning. They don't invest. They live hand to mouth. And number 3, they are after their names and not after what they are doing. Thank you, Kyoko Kevin. Ronnie Eukoi says they want to live in an imaginary blissful life. They want to stick to ordinary simple life. Those who stick to ordinary simple life make it healthy and will retire well. Thank you, Ronnie. Belinda Orero says celebrities are only famous because people support them. They thrive on being watched like others. If you stop following them, watching what they are doing, they will not be famous. They are more prone to depression because they rely on other people's acceptance of their purpose in life. Wonderful, Belinda. Marie Mbogwa, she says, living for people. The moment you start living for people, you forget about yourself. You lose focus. They should be able to differentiate between social media and real life. I believe that's the initial of the SM you've written. And Theuri Poli says it's the number of Kenyans who are silently depressed that is very worrying. Mismatch between expectations and realities is the main contributor. Thank you, Theuri Paul. And Levi Basereche says we are all into this depression, only that we are not known. Thank you, Levi. And Jacqueline Shiku, she says unhealthy competition, either competing amongst themselves or competing with other celebrities who have been in this industry for long and grew polo-polo, but instead they want to wake up and be like Rihanna overnight. Thank you, Jacqueline. And the last one, of course, Imon Joyce, she says, because they are human, just like everybody else. Wonderful. Peter, let me just get your reaction to
Sure.
some of the comments because they have some sort of similarity.
Yeah, I mean, the last comment is absolutely, we're human. We're human. And our gifts thrive. I think one of the commenters said something really, our gifts thrive in the public eye. I'm a musician. I've been here for over 30 years because people like what I do. People admire what I do, and not everybody can do what I do, so they see me as special. But the reality is it's a gift. I didn't ask for it. I was born like this, in the same way that, somebody can act. So I think the reactions are true. But I want to say something that's, I think, important that one of the commenters made, is that the difference between expectation and reality. Remember I said, Kenya National Bureau of Standards said what? Less than 3% of Kenyans live on make 100,000 shillings a month. That is $12,000 a year. That's the reality. That's the reality. So the reality on the ground, let me even make it a little bit crazy. What is our entertainment business worth? There's people in the world right now with one check who are worth way more than the entire Kenya music business and the entertainment. That's what, if you call it 10 billion shillings, whatever it is. There's people who can write a $1 million, $20 million check, and that's that. The reality is, it's not as big, and I think I like what Hellen said. You know, once I left the country and I got into the plane, and they don't recognize you, you realize that, oh,
in Asia, JKIA.
Yeah, in Asia, JKIA. But then now you get to another place where now, you know, I was on TBN and CBN, which are international platforms, and people start to recognize you. It becomes scary, Victor. It becomes scary. And if you're not prepared for it, it can ruin you. It can actually ruin you. So I think that that's something that I think the public pick up very easily about our insecurities. They really do.
Okay. Let me get to Dr. Njoroge at this point, because Daktari, someone mentioned in the comments the urge to try and please everyone. So you have 500,000 followers on social media and you're trying to please each one of them. Is this an existing, first of all, medical condition?
Sorry, come again?
Yes, I'm saying someone raised in the comments from social media that, you know, part of the problem is you get the urge to try and, you know, please everybody, including the 500 and the 1 million followers you have on social media. First of all, that's not possible, is it?
First of all, let me say having a large number of followers is not an issue, but when your life now revolves around, for example, the 500,000 followers you have, that's where the problem comes in. So I love what Hellen had mentioned before. It is very important for someone to be able to separate Hellen, or for example, your individual life from the life that you have in the limelight. So having that awareness, which you call self-awareness, is very important, and having what you call emotional intelligence to know that I need to live my own life, and there is this line that I've drawn where I can be able to now be that celebrity. And also being very realistic on what you do. If I'm not able to live a life that my followers want, then that's okay, because you're a human being like any other person. And going ahead to live in your own means now brings you to the point where you are good and you will be able now to cope with the normal life stresses.
Okay, all right. And of course, Hellen, I want you to react to part of that.
Yeah. Well, Judge Ian, he says, don't call me Judge Ian unless I'm in a music competition.
Oh.
He's in one of my competitions right now. You can call him Judge Ian. But you meet him in public or anyway, say, call me Ian. I'm Ian. No, I'm Ian. And then he has this sweetheart. I mean, a side of him that not many people know, and that's the you. So there is a side of me that you know that's different from Principal Hellen. You know, Principal Hellen, I could be strict. Lakini Hellen mwenyewe ni ule mtu anapenda ako nini tu life usini jaribu nani.
And I really
somebody happy go lucky, you know. Yeah,
and I really totally get that, because I mean, you need to separate who you are, you know, on the stage and who you are.
Otherwise, you'll not even eat mahindi kwa barabara.
But Cartoon, let me just bring you at this point, and I agree that Hellen raises a very valid point. But Cartoon, there's also the pressure of, you know, unafaa ku appreciate my fans, ukipatana na wao, upige selfie na wao, you know, uwatambue.
Ni ukweli. Mimi hata kuna time nilikuwa natembea tao. Na kuna msee alikuwa ananijua. Top ya 30 baba ananiuzia so 3. Mama yangu. I think ni title. Na pia hizi vitu ni kufunza na kusave. Na ni kweli kuinvest, because unahitaji tu ka advisor wako fulani mwenye kushow 10k rusha pale kwa bank, fanya hivi na hivi, fanya hivi na hivi.
Cartoon, hata kabla tukuje kwa mambo ya kusave, Cartoon.
Ati?
Hata kabla tukuje kwa mambo ya kusave, because Hellen amesema points nzuri sana ile kupunguza pressure, you separate between cartoon comedian, the person we know from TikTok and Instagram, na cartoon comedian mwenye ako mtaani anajaribu kununua mboga aende akapike. But noma ya hiyo pia ni ukijaribu kuacha kuwa cartoon comedian kwa street, wasa unasema ayo uko na kiburi
thank you, kweli. Mimi na feel once kwa limelight, nanga story na kujiseparate. Wewe tulikujua kama cartoon, ama tumekujua kama celeb fulani. Issue ni sijui, bora tushakujua hivyo. Kuseparate ni hard. Hakuna mtu utatembea kwa barabara hivyo ulizwe kitu useme mimi si cartoon. Unaona? Ni tu I think you just try to kukambali na public eye design ya unashinda tu mtaa. Najipanga tu yani sijui because mimi na feel pia ukiishi hiyo maisha ya kutembea nini, will they appreciate you tomorrow? Ukiishi maisha funny celebrate tena kesho.
Omosh, from where you sit, how do you manage the pressure ile kwambia wase msinipe pressure mingi, wase mimi ni mseka nyinyi, tofauti ya job yangu na yenu ni venye mimi kwa TV, but mimi na wewe mwalimu na daktari na mtu anafanya makazi ya ulinzi na ya ujenzi hatuna tofauti.
I think me I'm so natural. Yani as in my life, vile mnaona kwa TV so different sometimes ukivuinje. You know niambia nije Omosh mambo mi nakwambia sikiza amina hurry. Kaselfie haraka. You know some things pia una include usionyesha ati si lazima. Mgote ni aje dimore na kugotea. Mambo vipi uko fit niko fit. Maze kazi poa hata wewe kazi poa. Labda kidogo nakwambia mas boss ni celeb maze si ni cheso. Kwanza mshu maze do hivi. Niongezee finchi. Niko na finchi hapa hivi. Niongezee finchi nifike mtaani. Yaani una counter.
Lakini Omosh acha ni kuinterrupt hapo kwa sababu kuna ile part kama msanii unajaribu kujenga following unataka wase wako tambue ndio next time ukiingia kwa hii kwa hii movie una act kwa hii comedy imekam pia unajaribu kuact wase wakutambue juu wanakumbuka Omosh. Sasa kuna hiyo part unajaribu kuplease majamaa hautaki kuwaongelesha vibaya
Yes.
But kwa hiyo part pia unajipata umefinyiliwa kwa sababu wanataka Omosh atoboke bro.
Unajua pia nataka nitoboke. Lakini pia naambia mazi pia mimi ni hasara kaa nyinyi. And then ukikozoea kumingle na raia kuna vile utakuwa ni aje udi dimore tu.
Omosh wezi kuwa hasla na uko kwa TV.
Wewe wacha nikwambie unawapatia ile notion ya ati mazi si ati tunapataga domo. Mimi nataka ni motura utapata nimenderia motura.
Okay.
Una katua ya finje mimi nakatua ya ashu. Niko kushort design yaje set to ma celeb na do. And then pia kuna ile pia una mingle nao. Unashomaze uko na kaso tunaka celebrate motura na kanaisha hapo hivyo. Hapo unashimi sina kitu. Lakini sasa the problem. Hii raia chana tuna raia.
Okay.
Utatumia hizo hapo hivi next time wengine ataka ulipie bill nyingine. No sure kumconvince hauna kitu umemaliza. Wengine utapata kuna ule wakuelewa. Lakini pia usisahau kuna wale madanda hawajui kuelewa. Sasa unamshow we kesho kama ni area mtani, area mtani ni sawa. The problem inakuwa ni kitravel nje. When you travel labda nimeenda kitu kama Kisumu ama ni travel kitu kama Meru whatever. Kwa hivyo most of the time ndio kwa mejificha kama kwa hotel, kama ni kwa hotel ni kutoka kwa hotel umekienda na gari ndani umeenda kwa kani area kukula haraka. Wale wako hapo ndio tanumdiskuko uko hapo wakusalimia. Wengine pia unapata mfano sema wewe bili nishalipa.
Okay.
Wewe tumengia kwa gari wewe utajificha hivyo. Lakini mtaani niko free.
All right. What a wonderful discussion we are having. Don't go anywhere because all my guests are staying with me. When we come back, we talk about what happens once the fame fades off. And is this the major contributor to why many celebrities are falling into depression? We'll tell you once we come back.
Mzing ni aje? Rada. Nataka jo kujiuliza mjamaa jo alidiscover jo sambu inafai kuwe na kona 3. Samosa. Imedu nini? Inakuwaga na kona tatu sana, shindwa kwani hata discover ya kona ine lini. Msiwe zimekuraru. Acha hiyo atrayangu atafute hata kama ni pentagon.
To get samosa, dial *811 *928 hash. Skiza na Nation.
Timeless love. Boss, may I? Come in. What is this? Don't you recognize it? It's Miss Areli's. I brought it as proof. You did what I asked you to? If I didn't do it last night, I wouldn't have been able to. Ezekiel, you are really the only one that I can trust now. Timeless love.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Kwetu Mix in association with Coca-Cola.
Introducing Kwetu Mix.
Okay, but don't need no intro.
Tangu tuingie kwa hii mchezo sindo heartbeat. Nairobi City tunairan kama heartbeat. Hey, if you know, you know.
We have a banger. Ni show, ni wapi uliniona? Kwetu Mix on MTV.
Tutakuletea updates zote about all the trendy and popular entertainment events.
Yes, Ban.
Kwetu Mix, keep it locked. NTV, don't touch the dial.
Kwetu Mix in association with Coca-Cola.
Why are Kenyan celebrities falling into depression? That's a question we are asking ourselves this morning, and I have a comprehensive panel that is going to delve and thrash out why many Kenyan celebrities, of course, are falling into depression. Hellen Mtawali is with me in studio. Cartoon comedian is joining us virtually. Omosh is here with me in studio. So is Pete Odera, and of course, Dr. George Njoroge, as we talk about this matter at this moment. But we also asked you to be part of this conversation, and you have been talking to us, by the way. Let's get to sample part of your feedback. Remember, on our question of the day, we asked you, why do you think many celebrities are falling into depression? And Harisonai Homai, he says, they live to please their fans. Poor managers who squander their hard-earned money, I believe. Thank you, Harrison. We have Charo Hanjari says, because depression knows no celeb. And I think that's something very, I want to take it up with Dr. Njoroge immediately. And Christian Agunda says, pressure to appease some of their fans who forget celebs are humans with feelings, strengths, and weaknesses. Thank you, Christian. And of course, Maggie Mwesha says, living beyond their means, they do not differentiate between the public life and private life. Thank you, Maggie. And of course, the last one, Drono Kipiegon Patrick, he says, they are human. A lot of people out here are falling into depression and have to drag themselves out without any help. And of course, we also spoke to one of the biggest comedians in this country, that is Jalast, on what he thinks about today's topic. But just, of course, before we bring that story, let me just talk to Dr. Njoroge on something very brief. Dr. there's something from that feedback that I picked, which is, depression does not discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. Dr. Njoroge?
Sorry, come again.
Yes, I'm saying the biggest thing I picked from that feedback was, depression doesn't actually care who you are. It doesn't care whether you're the president or you're the biggest artist or you're just, a small man like myself. It hits you and it doesn't care who you are.
All right, thank you, Kipop. And let me clarify, I'm not yet a doctor, I'm a psychologist.
No problem.
And the question is a very good one, and it is very true. Depression doesn't decide that because you're a celebrity, you're going to get it, and because you don't have enough money, you're not going to get it. every individual and every human being is predisposed to every mental disorder. And I think in that point, it tells us that even the celebrities are human beings. They may have all the money that we see, all the cars, all the houses, but when it comes to mental health concerns, when it comes knocking, you cannot say that I'm a celebrity, I cannot be able to get sick. You're going to get it. And I think the conversation is clearly indicating that this is very true, and taking measures to ensure that your mental well-being is okay and you're able to take care of yourself, and what we refer to as self-care is very important to every individual, whether you're that mama mboga in the streets. Ensure that you're aware of what you're going through and how you're handling your environment and also the stresses that you have. And even if you are the celebrity, the singer, the president, being also aware of what you're going through and how to deal with it is very key.
Okay.
And I think, yeah.
And of course, we'll come back to that being aware. How do I know that I'm depressed? Because sometimes you don't even know. But one of the other things I picked from that feedback was, and it was very prominent in all the feedback that we received, by the way, is people living beyond their means. And I think this is something that Jalas spoke about very well in his conversation with my colleague, Brian Mushuri. Let's get to hear what he has to say.
This morning on Your Voice, I speak to premium media personality Felix Odiwori, popularly known as Jalango. He's heavy on several fronts and he's a father figure to many, and that's why some call him Heavy J Baba. Bariako Baba.
All good. Thank you so much for finding time so that we can have this discussion.
Okay.
Asante sana.
I highly appreciate it. Direct to the conversation, mental health. You help very many celebrities. I can point out several, perhaps recently Omosh. Why do you do this kind of thing? Kwa nini unafanya kitu kama hii?
It is not even that why am I doing it. They call up on me, and I've created a platform where people can talk freely, safe space for them, but then also understanding what they are going through. You understand? I've seen a lot of conversations about, oh, I'm a celeb. Kwani hao peke yao ndio wanateseka? Kwani hao, why can't they save? Why can't they, you understand?
Unasaidia watu wenye walikuwa na pesa.
Watu walikuwa na pesa nini? You know, let's say, for example, art in this country is still not to a point where you'd say that, you know what, can pay. Even myself, I had to diversify. Radio, get myself on radio, open up my agency, Arena Media, and all these things so that I could support my art. But there are people who've not got the chances to be on radio or open their own agencies. Ndio kuna kujipanga. But then you never know when things just go south on you. Like right now, most celebrities and all, no gigs, no nothing. Yes, everybody analia kila pahali. But then on our side, the hospitality industry was hit in a way that hakuna kitu ya kujishikilia.
Hii industry yetu, I mean, Jalas, inakutaka uvae kiatu mzuri, kashati uvae kana pop vizuri. Sasa nikinunua hii pesa mingi mnaniambia tena una live beyond my means. Difference iko wapi between living beyond your means?
There's a thin line between living beyond your means and putting up your celebrity status and what people expect of you. You understand? Unfortunately, people say, why should what people say bother you? In our small Celebville, what people say, the image you present, how you show up, how you move really matters. You understand? Because also for brands to also talk to you, it's how you carry yourself, what do you show and all. Unfortunately, that's it. And it has pushed celebrities to live beyond their means. Some people hire cars to just show that they have a car, to move to places. Kwa sababu akiingia mat tena itakuwa ni yo, Jalasi ni anaingiaga mat. What do you want people to do?
Aspect ya mentorship. When jina kubwa, Heavy J Baba. Ukiinteract na younger comedians, akina Mushiri.
Hey bro, I talk to them. Shida ya watu pia, shida yenyu pia msikii. Mushiri, you are 22. I'm 38, bro. It has taken me like 18 years to create this brand. 18 years.
Miaka yangu, maisha yangu
yote. Yeah, maisha yako yote I've been creating this brand. You can't come in this game and want to compete with me. You can't come into this game and want to drive the car I drive or want to live where I live. Now that's where they get it all wrong. Not wanting to take the process and be part, just learn the journey.
Na hii process ni kusota ni kufinyika kwa sababu sasa Jalance
it is what you do to grow your brand, bro. I started out as an actor at the National Theatre. I moved on to stage plays. I moved on to TV. I got myself on radio. I got myself my agency. You understand?
Yes. Growth.
It is growth pole, without losing focus. Because the problem is pia kuna watu tu hapa wako hapa wanapita. This is not what they wanted to do. This is not what they had planned to do. Wako hapa tu, yani wakingoja, what next? As we are doing, this is our career. This is it. We don't have anything to do.
Wewe ka Jalance, ushaikuwa na moment where you aki pesa yenyewe nimeitumia hadi ukajiita mkutano ukajiambia
mimi nishaharibu. But then musema cheza na mshahara na usicheze na kazi. So how do you grow your brand to a point where if anything happens right now, bro, even if I had to leave Kiss today, I'd still go back to my agency. You understand? I'll still have my social media platforms where I'm doing my marketing. Yes. I still push myself. I push my brand. These people don't get satisfied. The same anger that you had when you were starting, how more angry are you? Yung njaa bado iko. There's one thing that pushes me every day, and I tell people, and they don't. My dream, my drive, the reason why I work hard is poverty, bro. I've been on both ends. I've had chums and I've been poor. Yes.
Mimi sasa sina la kuongeza basi.
Hata usikue nayo, lakini sasa vijana
tunachoma.
Vijana tusichome. Uselebi isikuingie kwa kichwa. Isikuingie kwa kichwa. These people you call your fans left, right and center can make you or can break you. So be wise. It is not about, it's about you. Grow your brand so that you can live beyond it.
Wow. What an interview. And he's raised quite a lot of points. I don't even know where to begin. And let me just start here. There's something you mentioned about uselebi kuingia kwa kichwa.
Isijaribu kukuingia kwa kichwa because you are as good as your last dance. As soon as you're done, we forget you. Somebody else comes in better than you. Who's that? Who's Hellen? If you don't rebrand yourself, if you don't rediscover yourself and stay valid, sorry, we forget you, and that's how you go. And that's, again, another thing that takes you down the trail. So you need to have to find ways to reinvent yourself, stay relevant.
And you've been doing this for quite a while now.
I have been doing it forever. It's because I probably thank God that I teach in a university, Daystar University, and I meet great people who help me reinvent myself. By the way, Solly Malangu is coming to one of my shows online.
Oh, look at you.
That's
and you're not bragging.
I'm not bragging, you know, yeah. Solly Malangu, welcome, to Kenyan, art. So, and that's one of the things that ideally interact with the people, the right people, but also remember that you are a human being, like Pete said, but you also, first of all, place of God, very important, because there's a way God just tells you, reminds you, thinks of God, reminds you to be humble.
Okay.
If you're humble, then ideally you can pull through.
Okay. And Pete, the other thing that of course he's raised is the issue of it takes time. It doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. It doesn't. I've been here for 31 years this year.
31
my first album.
years.
Yes. I'm turning 52 this year, and the idea is just what has been said. I think staying humble is critical, just having a proper, let me say 4 things maybe real quick. One is developing that strong sense of identity. If your brand or what you do is bigger than who you really are, you'll crash on the rocks. So developing a strong sense of identity. I think the important thing that Jalang also said was save in your years of plenty. It's a season. You won't be famous forever. So when you're famous and you're making the money, invest it. Put it somewhere, because the Bible teaches about the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. They're coming, like the El Nino. It's going to come. A time when nobody's calling you on the phone. When like Hellen said, there's another new artist and you're no longer flavor of the month, But more importantly, find a circle who can support you.
Okay.
People who can support you. I think this is important.
Okay.
I think it's critical for people. Find something else to do, you know, and which also brings me to that last thing that I think I was thinking about is find a hobby, you know, so that I'm not always constantly afraid that my gift is going to fall, people are going to forget me. Because I have a strong sense of identity, I can do something else. I can find a hobby and do that.
Okay. Omosh, kando na venye wase udhani by the way kitu inalipa mamilioni na nini vile Jalasa amesema inabidi ujipange kidogo, kando na hiyo kitu unafanya ukuwe na biashara mahali, ukuwe na kitu mahali na hiyo inaleta reality kwa macho ya wase wengi kwamba by the way hii kitu si venye mnadhani.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Ndio vile Jalasa amesema it's equally important. Dozi kuwagi mingi lakini kuinvest pia kidogo kidogo tu naweza kusave. And then pia usikuwe tu constantly as an actor. Like me kufanyaga acting and then I'm a motivator. I'm also a teacher in drama. So ni kuna tuango twingi twa nini tukufanya. But my profession, what I really love to do is acting. It's art. So you can't move into art. Okay, nikianza biashara ndaandika nani? You sometimes inakuja hivyo. Unaweza invest, unaweza biashara ya hardware ya chuma. All my investment zangu zote nazipa kwa chuma, lakini nenda hasara because of one thing I don't know how it goes about. Nifungue hoteli. Okay, mimi sijui kumanage hoteli. Zangu zote naziweka kule kwa hoteli. Hoteli inamaliza do. Okay, what about say watu artists wengi wafikiriaje? Okay, plots. I think the best way for me to say is buying plots because land you always appreciate.
Lakini bottom line ni ujipange.
Ni kujipanga. Hiyo ina story nyingine.
Lakini cartoon wamesema kuhusu stories za kujipanga, which is very true and it helps you. But sometimes ifemu huja unexpectedly, ikitu kupata kaa uamini, walikuwa na record video, hauko unajua itaenda viral. So kidogo uendo uko na mado left right and center, alafu kidogo pia hiyo fame pia imefade hata kama hujajipanga.
Well, hiyo ni ukweli. Kwanza ni kitu imeniapenia. First mimi penye nilirise hivyo, sikuanga tana management, hata sikuwa nataka hiyo story, nilikuwa nasikia manager nasikia hapana, hata ni con. Tunajiambia I'll just do it alone. So your process nika realize no overspend. Naingia tao mara niko mdhuru, nimeendea maboga, nimeendea kladi, sikuwa naelewa vitu mob. I'll just be everywhere, niko kila mahali. Mimi nikipata kidogo naenda home, nafanya shopping, nafanya nini. Then nikafika place nikajiambia katuna pana. Umekimbiza to. Nikasema so what will I do? Then nika try kutafuta management na trust. Na mtu na trust nimwambie then nimeingiza do kadhaa hivi na hivi ndo kume happen. Venye nilianza kupata management nika realize so kama sina do sifai kutembea. So kama niko huku nafanya shoot around huku, kama nataka kushoot si must nipande mat kama sina mahali pa kuenda. Like nafanya tu kwa nyumba like once. I think ni kulearn vitu mob kama saving si kitu rahisi. Like ni must ukae chini ujifunze uanze na 10 bob 5 bob. So I guess easy mistakes na happen cause ni jina tu. Pia kuna msemo si celeb kwa nje.
Shida usanii kando na kufanya job ya kama ya serikali. Mnajua job ya serikali mshande ukamwisha wa mwezi. Lakini job ya usanii ni unaunda mita moja leo alafu aundi kitu for the next 4 months.
Ndo nakusho usanii nataka tu usikue solo, kuwa na mse una trust. Utengeza hiyo mita lakini haujui kutumia hii mita. Kuna mse atakuwa advisor kushoniaje, chukua 500,000 fanyia hivi. Lakini ukikuwa solo na jiamini sana, unashtukianga na make wrong. Alafu tunajua sisi tunasotanga times juu ya tuna invest on risk inaweza kufanya pia unasota. Umeinvest on hoteli imekuja kaanguka ujui kuimanage. Umeinvest on nini? So I think you need people wenye wanakumonitor and ni process tu ya kulearn.
Alafu of course kabla sije kuachilia kama msanii mpya na venye unaelewa venye vitu za social media uko siku hizi, wendo mse una trend, wendo mse funny leo alafu kesho wewe si mse funny tena. Kuna mse mwingine pia amekama ambaye ni mfani na wasia wajali kitu wewe unasema. Hiyo story ya management unajipanga, of course hiyo story venye Hellen na Pete wamesema kuhusu kujireinvent na kujaribu kubaki kwa game.
Well, nasemanga kufika ikuangi ngumu, kumaintain ndio ngumu. So I think make to more do And I miss comparing with others. Musema tu hata tu God ndo anilit na time kidogo. Juu nikijicompare nitaanza kushikwa na ile pressure ya kai nitaisha. So me avoid to such comments na kwa to myself nikipata idea na shoot, nikipata do na sales ninaweza na tumia venye nitajipanga. I think tu ni usijicompare na tu usiogope pia overthink.
Okay.
Juu overthink utashikwa na too much pressure na kuumize na ukose kufika place ulikuwa unadai kufika.
Okay. George, I have to take a quick break, but just before I do that, from a medical perspective, there's definitely a problem with, let's say being Victor Kiprop today, you're getting all the biggest shows in town. Hellen wants you to come to her event and come and perform. And then all of a sudden, all that is taken away from you. And suddenly I have to move back from, the life on the fast lane back to an ordinary life.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And first of all, managing your expectations is very important. And this goes to the extent where you need to balance off the ideal self and also the real self. Being a celebrity is not a bad thing, and getting the money is not bad. But be able to be in touch with who you are, that Victor, that Hellen who was there before. And through that journey, you won't be able to lose yourself. And if things don't go as you had expected, then you're able to carry yourself up and know that I'm still here and I can still work towards where I want to go. So balancing the ideal self and the real self is very important, because what makes celebrities crash most of the time is because of the self-consciousness and also the societal pressure to be a particular person or to live in a particular way, and that causes that mismatch.
Okay, but George, let me just challenge you on that, because you're asking me to be in touch and have some reality check with myself and remain true to myself. But you see, the myself of today is the Victor that boards a matatu, lives in an average, neighborhood, goes to Wangige market to get his vegetables. And then there is me now, the superstar. As Hellen would tell you, I'm in South Africa next week, I'm in Nigeria the next week, and then I'm back in Qatar, and then I'm back in Nairobi, and hundreds of thousands of people like and follow me on social media. They praise me the whole day. They want to take pictures with me. How do I even reconcile? I mean, it takes a huge effort to try and be that humble.
Yeah, I'll give an example of how you can do that. Let's take an example of a job. You are a dad at home, but when you go to the workplace, you are a manager, you are a doctor, a teacher. So, of course, your profession is part of you, but when you go back home, you have now to step into your role as a parent. So, when you go out there as a celebrity, it's okay, have fun, interact with people, have the followers, but remember that Victor or Hellen or Omosh is a human being. And when Hellen feels low, it's part of being human. When Omosh is not able to meet some bills, it's okay, because the income is no longer there. And when any celebrity feels like they cannot be able to fit into that box of being a celebrity, it's okay, because before they became a celeb, they were human beings. So that's basically the importance of being in touch with yourself as a human being. And that now goes back to the emotions, your mental state, and your physical health.
Okay, thank you. I have to go for a quick break, but oh my God, you guys keep talking. And of course, I know I asked you to talk, but I didn't know you'd talk this much. Let's get some of that feedback before you take a break. And if that's ready now, yes. John Rono, he says, lack of money to match the celebrity status as expected by the society. Thank you, John. Isaac Mairani says, yes, brokenness, lack of attention, pressure to stay relevant. Thank you, Isaac. We have more. Yes, Nalo Austin says, it's because you follow them with cameras. So many people are sinking in depression, yet you guys don't know, since no cameras are around. Okay, I think that's directed to us as the media. Thank you. And Vostio Winosh says, I think anyone can fall into depression. It's just that celebrities have been put on a pedestal. Their affairs attract attention and public opinion. Thank you. And then, of course, John Kanye says, because depression is real, when women get a lot of money, they think investment. But when men get a lot of money, they invest in women. Thank you. That's interesting. And the last one, of course, Eunice Wangari, she says, because of this fake smile, fake it till you make it. in real life, no one cares whether you fake it or not. Live your life and you don't have to impress anybody. Thank you very much. She says, live your life and you don't have to impress everybody. We have to pay some bills, but when we come back, of course, we talk about how social media has magnified all this pressure that we've been talking about in the last hour, but also how we can sustainably move forward. That means we can prevent more celebrities from falling into depression. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you to the bosses who changed the office entirely in order to create the most comfortable workspace, and to everyone who brings Bureau Time to them in over 50 countries. Bureau Time, asset for success.
About Molfix. Actually, another brand was recommended to me, but it had a leakage problem. Then I decided to try Molfix. His clothes don't get wet anymore.
Because Molfix provides extra protection against leakage thanks to its anti-leakage elastic barriers. All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix. Salad vegetable cooking oil is the clear flowing secret to tasty meals. Buy 5 liters of salad vegetable cooking oil today and get 250 grams Zesta tomato sauce for free. Iflo Kama Salad. Salad vegetable cooking oil. Available in all cooking outlets countrywide.
You're watching Your World on NTV Kenya. Thank you for staying with us, because Hellen and the rest of my colleagues, of course, Pete, George, Omosh, and of course, cartoon comedian, are also staying with us for the last part of this conversation as we talk about how you can safeguard your mental health, not just as a celebrity, but as any human walking on this earth. And just before we do that, let me give you, of course, this small story of how, if you want to know that everyone can actually, as Dr. Njoroge said, anyone can actually fall into depression. Let's get this story. When award-winning gospel singer Owen Mwati, better known as Daddy Owen, revealed that he has been battling depression earlier this year, many Kenyans were shocked. In fact, a good number of social media users trolled him for apparently being weak and soft. But unknown to many, Daddy Owen is just one of the many Kenyan celebrities who are silently battling depression and cannot open up about their struggles because of stigma.
When you hear about depression, if you don't movie, you just watch in movies and you're like, yeah? So I never knew that I was in depression until I went for counseling.
What led to counseling?
It reached a point I felt like the walls were caving in.
Became too much.
Became too much. Started crying alone. Started looking at life with no hope. Started revelating things and feeling like I have no future. I'm not important.
Was that bad?
Nothing matters anymore. It was bad. I used to feel I'm sick.
What do you mean?
Like I can't breathe. Like I go to sleep, I can't breathe completely. I'm rushed to hospital. Tests are done. Nothing.
You okay?
The next day you're like, no, I'm sick. Yeah. Hospital, you change doctors, you change hospitals, you do all these things. So one doc, she's called Dr. Asike, she's the one who told me, I think what you're facing is more mental than physical. So she wrote me a letter and she was like, just I cannot call Dr. Kigamwa and talk about whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
The hardest part was, you're a born-again Christian. The Bible says you should not be anxious.
Yeah. Pray about it and
You get my point, yeah? So you're like, I do pray, I fast, I go to the mountain, I go to the wilderness to pray.
Yeah.
But I just feel there's something that is not. That's when I discovered peace is very important. If you're working from a place of peace,
that's true.
You'll always succeed. The most important thing is
Pete, I think that interview highlights the challenge of actually, you can actually recognize that you are depressed.
Yeah.
But talking about it is also yet another problem.
It's a big deal. I admire Owen's capacity to just say, you know what, I'm going to go. The same as Omosh, you know. One day you say, you know what is it? Am I going to please the fans, keep up the image, or am I just going to be bold enough to go out there and get help? I mean, I've been to that place where I said, you know what, I have to go. As a pastor, as a musician, as a leader in society, I said, you know what, let's put that aside. I can be of better use to our society if I'm whole. So I've had to go for counseling. So go for counseling. I say that that's important. Now, the other side of that is this, of course. Counseling isn't cheap. You know, the average Kenyan can't afford counseling. But this is what I mean with celebrities, is begin to make friends. Don't wait until things are bad to make friends. And I think that developing the kind of solid relationships that somebody can tell you, hey, you know what, something's wrong. I have a friend here who I think you need to talk to. Go and see this counselor. I can help you pay for that.
Okay.
Or if things are bad, you know, a soft place to land. I think this is important.
Okay. Omosh, definitely you've been in this situation before, and you can definitely tell the difference that kuna tofauti ukiamua kubonga.
Kubonga as in how?
Tell your story venye umekuwa kwa noma na uko kwa depression.
Okay, kweli, it's hard, but sometimes you find yourself you can't control it now. You know, unaenda kwa friends, you know, and then you know, you have those good friends and bad friends. Friends that will take advantage of you. And those friends actually, like Daddy was saying, you know, a Christian life. There's a while I went in my church, akanipata nimelala kwa glass. Mifika usiku sijaenda yuko kwa ofisi. Akuza Omosh nikasho mimi mwenyewe, I feel like dying. Akaniambia hapana Omosh come. You know, akanipeleka around, you know, finally I just went home laughing. And I knew when I'm depressed, when I used to run, rush to her. Nampata kwa ofisi.
Lakini kama ungebonga?
Kama singebonga, akini ningefiatuka. Hapo ndo nafiatu. You find Omosh akitembea kirokota makaratasi akijiongelesha, throwing hands, nini. There's a friend of mine bakali hapo to a neighbor aliona siku moja nimekaa nikafanya hivi, sijui niko. Kanambia Buda, kwani ni watu unajiongelesha? Hata hujui ukijiongelesha. You don't even know unajiongelesha. Basi nilikuwa tu nilikuwa naimba. Kuimba gani unajiongelesha? You don't know depression ikikama. That's one thing nimekuja ku notice. You don't know ikikama. Unatumia kwa barabara kidogo mtu anasema nikao umeongea lakini poa. Nikusalimia, hujamisi kusalimia. Lakini unajipata umethrow mkono. Labda singuje pia families help. You kapata sangine you leaving your wife or something, mmejamishana, ukitoka nje, you find yourself unaenda ukirusha mikono nini, whatever vitu kama hizo. Lakini pia when you have a family na kusupport, you know, you feel good.
Okay.
You feel like ishida ni nani? Ishida ni nani?
Yeah. Okay. Katuni, shida ya kubonga sometimes ni ujui ubonge na nani. Na kuna wase pia wanasemanga, ai mimi si mse wa kubonga. Wewe ubonga?
Mimi sibongangi unless na kutrust.
Ati ubongi unless na ni trust?
Oh,
okay.
Juna believe mimi nakwanga ule demo wa fear of naogopa nikikwambia uende uniseme ama unichekelee ama ukose kunisaidia na nishaongea. Ati nisaidie sina mimi ule msemo utaka nikwambia unanisaidia ama I don't know, mimi ogopa tu kuchekelewa na kudiscussiwa. So I guess ndio inafanya watu wengine wanaingia kwa wanadai alone. Unaget tujua kitu yenye uwezi sema ndio inakuanga.
Lakini Omosh amebonga by the way. Of course kuna wase wamecheka. Dadi yawe na amebonga. Of course kuna wase wamecheka. Lakini ukifuata vizuri utapata hiyo kubonga ndio inawafanya bado wako hapa leo. Otherwise kama wangebonga.
Ukweli. I guess ni tu wase wako different. Maybe kuna tu wale tu wanaongea but kuna wale wamezaliwa hivyo. Mshwa tu inakuanga different.
Okay.
Unaongea unasaidika but kuna ule mwenye ananyamaza tu ana believe to God. God atamkamia through one day one time.
Good. Hellen, and sometimes if you don't talk, by the way, you deflect that attention. If you can't talk to someone.
That's where my daughter comes in, because my daughter, I thought everything was okay until I realized she was not talking. But now, because of depression, she had to learn how to talk. So certain things can be unlearned. Just unlearn how to talk, invest in people, because at one time in your life, when you invest in people, what the government can't pay you. Government can pay you, but when you invest in people, life will pay you.
Okay. Yeah. And sometimes there are those, you don't want to talk, but you talk to the bottle.
Yeah, yeah, even Omosh ukumbuki kwa statement yake alisema nini, najiva naongea peke yangu tu bana, nimejiva poa naenda mahali na kuna mahali naenda, you know. That sometimes it is still also healthy to get out, and then mask inasaidia. Vatu hiyo mask jiongeleshe, at least some information will get out. You will not sink it in. And then
but by the bottle I meant that there are people who don't talk,
drinking,
but they decide to drink.
Yeah. Drinking, like you said, I think I found you talking
because
to
you don't have a body, your body becomes the bottle.
Unfortunately, the bottle will not sort you out. It doesn't talk back to you. But that's why, for me, my solution is talk to people who can talk back to you. Some that you trust. Like Cartoon says, she does not trust a few people. Probably she'll have to unlearn that, get a few people who in the pilka ya kuwa celeb, tafuta wale unaweza ongea tu na kila mtu kama mbaya na kunaweza kupata wale wazuri who probably will take care of you when you need them. Like those, I call them friends in need. Who
so kwa msana anaogopa kuchekelewa, heri uchekelewe lakini uko hai.
Sasa ukichekelewa sitachekelewa tu dakika mbili alafu ishe. Yeah, so kuna vitu tu personality yake inaweza kukosa kukubali, but kumbuka bado wewe ni celeb. Na kama wewe ni celeb unakutana na watu wengi, take advantage. Invest in people.
And if you're watching this is definitely very important. I
was not a talker. But the minute I started realizing that there are people who, among the people that I meet in this spree of meeting people, there are those that I can invest in. One time when I lacked, they became handy to me. Not lacking in money, but also lacking in other ways that you realize, hey, there's this thing that is bothering me. They would help you, they become the solution. Yeah.
Because if you don't talk, it can get tragic. George, it can get tragic to even the point of suicide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And let me mention, talking is very, very important, because that's what we use to help an individual when they are in that place where they cannot be able to come out. That we call it a dark pit. So talking is very important, and you don't have to talk to just everybody. Find someone who you trust, who can be able to get you to the right places. And that is why even as a hospital, we have come up with even different means to ensure that we reach out to each and every Kenyan. And so talking remains to be very essential, because that's how you're going to tell us how you're feeling. And without you knowing, you'll get better. You'll get better. And funny thing is, most people, when they begin to talk, they don't realize that that is a path of getting better. And they realize it midway.
All right. George, but Dadion also mentioned something else very important, by the way, that for some time he was just sick and he doesn't know what's wrong with him. And that brings the question of, sometimes you don't know, you are in depression, but you don't know you're in depression. How do I even know?
To begin with, that happens to many patients. Lack of insight, and you may not be aware that I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping well, I'm not talking to people. And you may realize it when you're about to now, maybe you're starting to have suicidal ideations. So first of all, listen to what people are saying, because most of the time the people around you will tell you, actually, you're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're not coming to work on time, or maybe you're not functioning the way you are functioning before. So those are the telltale signs that you're not doing well. And of course, when you sit down, you'll be able to know that my own feelings are not the same as they were before. Maybe I'm feeling more low. I may not be able even to get out and interact with people or even my friends, and I'm even locking people out. I don't want to talk to anyone. So such symptoms will tell you that I'm not in the right path, and having now the people around you to hold your hand and take you to the right place is key when it comes to intervention in mental health.
Okay, but there's also the aspect of, yes, maybe someone who is professional like George has told me, Victor, you look like you might be in depression. But there is the bit of accepting, no, I can't be in depression. Come on, I'm always happy and I always laugh. What do you mean I'm in depression, George?
Sorry?
Yes, I'm saying, other than the bit about being depressed, you could actually tell me as a professional that I am depressed. But there's the bit about me accepting that I am depressed. Because, I mean, for me, I feel like I'm not depressed. I'm always happy and I'm always laughing with people and I'm delivering at work. What do you mean I'm depressed?
All right, that is a very good question. We call that lack of insight. And several factors can come into play when it comes to someone accepting that they're actually depressed. And unfortunately, most people come to that realization when it's at the edge, when they are having suicidal ideations, when they are attempting to die by suicide. So taking them through the symptoms of depression and now confirming what they have been going through, aside from the outward look, maybe when I come to work, I'm very happy, I'm very social. What about when you're at home? Have you been going to maybe social places? Do you feel comfortable in those places? When you probe more, then you bring that realization to them that actually, I may seem fine, but I've not been fine for the last 1 year or few months. So step by step probing and also counseling really helps to ensure that this person accepts that I've not been well and I've just adapted what we call maladaptive coping mechanisms to be able to cope with my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pete, my biggest takeaway from this conversation and from what all of you have said, including Omosh, yourself, Hellen, and George, and even Cartoon, is it's okay not to be okay.
A way of putting it. You can find yourself in a situation where you fall on your face. I think you can always rise up, and you're human. The thing about being a celebrity sometimes is that you have this feeling of superhumanness that it can't affect me. The reality is anybody and everybody can be affected by some of these things. So I think to have a true perspective, and I keep saying self-identity, if in your spirit you don't know who you really are, you're gonna have problems just dealing with even basics. You know, you go to the kiosk and ask for something, and everybody says this person has a bad attitude because you feel everybody should worship you. There's complexes in there that I think we need to deal with. Remember, Victor, the research said, and I think you're the one who said it, 1 in 4 Kenyans, 1 in 4 Kenyans is now in need of mental health attention. I think that's a call for serious pivoting, where we as a society should stop looking at it as something that's stigmatized, but really accept that, hey, this is a thing, something that prayers, of course, you need to pray for somebody, but hey, get counseling. Get counseling, make it available. I think that that's the plea, that we should make it available at our national hospitals, referral hospitals as well, to have the facilities there where somebody could easily come and say, I'm going through a hard time, help me out.
And during this COVID-19 period, Hellen, this is of course very critical because people are losing their jobs. You know, people, performers like yourself and people like Omosh are missing out on gigs and cartoon comedian. You don't have this income. And sometimes it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be perfect. You can be a celebrity. And we saw Bill Gates separated with his wife. You know, and Jeff Bezos did it. So it is okay to not be okay.
Yes. It's okay not to be okay, but also I tell people I mentor that musicians or artists they're called the gifted because they can actually work around a lot of many other things apart from just what they do. For instance, if Cartoon is a a comedian, there pretty much is something else you can do. So Miles Monroe, the late, said, explore your potential. So in exploring your potential, you realize that there are other things that you can actually create and package as jobs, other than that one, which the main one that you thought would bring you income.
Okay.
Like if I'm a lecturer or a professor at Daystar, what else can I be able to do? At Daystar, apart from just being at Daystar, Daystar invites people from different parts of the world. Oh yeah, you can find me speaking another language. So if you want translator, come in now. You go pay me well, Lord, because I dey speak that language. If you want me, I can go to South Africa and survive the South African very well.
Oh my God!
It becomes my job. It can become a translator. Apart from that, I'm drama myself. I have inside me something that's Afro cinema begins shortly. Give me an acting job and many other things that you can do. I discovered that I could do posters, bwana. Tinde posters ukiingia kwa nini? Mimi siedi kutafuta natengeneza mwenyewe.
And I'd actually forgotten about this because Pete, there's something you actually did also to try and reinvent yourself and survive during this COVID-19 period.
There's a part of me, one side of me is a pastor. Many people know me just as the pastor, but then the musician side, I said, you know what, we're here. I found myself outside of Metropolitan, and I said, you know what, let's get my family involved. And so I got them involved in my music. And so now I'm singing with my daughters and my wife. And my wife has a full-time job, but my daughters now sing along with me. We did this music video. It's a song that we brought out at this time to try and pivot and say, hey, let's bring some joy to the world. I mean, it's been rough. It's been rough. For some people, it's been terrible. People who've lost loved ones. And we said, you know, let's pivot and try and bring joy.
Okay.
So I think there's many gifts that come out of people. I must agree with what Hellen said.
And for any family or any person who wants to maybe listen to the song, can you mention the name or how we can find it?
The song is called I Smile. It's on YouTube. I'd like it to become an anthem so that we can smile again. It's on YouTube. It's on all platforms, Spotify if you like. Pete Odera, I Smile. Sorry to do this shameless plug right here.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful discussion we are having, but definitely, of course, we have to close it. We have to wrap up this conversation. Let me just get your closing remarks, and let me start with Omosh. Bottom line ni hii story itabidi tumebonga. Na kwa wewe msee mwenye ulishabonga na ukakama out na at least wase wamekusikia una feel better. You may not be at the best level you want to be, but at least be better than place ulikuwa. Are you taking any initiative kubonga na wase wengine ku follow up na wase maybe mlikuwa kwa situation same ama msee alikupotelea mlikuwa mna act na yeye kitambo na amepotea ku make sure wako fit?
Okay, the funny thing is that you know why women heal faster? Because they cry. Men go into depression because one thing, they fear crying. So even home, even some places I go visit, the guys are like, hey Omosh, kwani kulia kuna do? You can be like, don't fear to do anything. Don't fear to cry. Don't fear to approach and tell someone that I really don't have. You know, just go straight to the point. Okay, don't beat around the bush. One thing, if you really want help, so go for it. Ask for it. Instead of you just staying there, waiting for help to come to you. Help won't move to you. You know, you're putting on a face like you so much kind of hey, kwani shida ni nini? Mazini sina sombili. Why can't you just come to me, sina sombili? You know, even telling me una sombili, smile like wata mchezo. But one thing, really utanionyesha for sure ato can smile, sina sombili. One thing, it stress, that's sombili nakupatia. So I do go out and tell people. People ask me, okay, so crying helps. It helps. You know, one thing, people see you as a fool. Like, wanaume, demore, celeb mzima, TV, anaonekana dunia mzima akilia, akipiga nduru. Nikwambia, okay, I did it because of my family. Today my family is smiling. You know, my friends too are smiling. The other family, my parents are smiling just because of one thing. I cried. You can cry too, and you can save your family. Although I'm not where people think that I am, you know, people that said, Omosh umekuwa millionaire, but the little I had really made me to smile.
Okay.
And put me back on the shoes.
Na umesema kitu nzuri sana kuhusu hiyo billionaire, kwa sababu kuna wase kama cartoon ambao bado ndio wanaingia, ndio wameanza hii story. You know, na venye alikuwa amesema una spend pesa zako, you know, unajibamba jueni Omosh, pesa zina come all through. Tuambie from experience yako umuhimu ya msee at least kujipanga ukijua, you know, hii jina haiwezi uza milele.
Okay, ndio haiwezi ingia milele, lakini sometimes see artists ujipatanga. Okay, don't think that you earn so much. Like hata vile unaona cartoonist anasema, certain earn so much. But the little kidogo anapata. You know, if kama hali cartoonist, you know, maybe you have a family, a young family. There can be a time your family goes to high school, you know, paying big bills. Utukumezoea kulipa tu, hata sangine ni free. But tukifika, mtu ameperform, to Alliance, you know, at Alliance, big bills, you have to pay for them. There are 3 or 2, maybe kama mtu kama mimi, wataika 17, yani si 17, lakini watoto wengi. You see, the bills takuwa mob, so utakumejipanga na nini na ile. So you find yourself sometimes, people go to artists wana depression. Mshahara yote umetupa tu kwa chuo. Mshahara ingine kidogo umetupa wapi? Kwa landlord. So sometimes hiyo kujipanga na kidogo ni poa. Na vile my friend was telling us, inakujaga pole pole. You never know how you get that name. Like I didn't know I'll be the celeb, much like I am today. I started as a very minor character. Yani kitu kuna jua, but I don't know. Somehow it happens. I appeased my audience. And to an advantage is that unaitwa to show, to say shows, whatever. You feel like you could save ni poa sana for the future. But also you need someone, you know, sometimes the artists, this Kanani was saying, the comedian was saying, is that you want to manage yourself. Is that you don't want to put someone inside. It's like ukita manager, nikata kusanya, anakusanya. Hata bibi unaogopa kwa manager wake. Reason why unanikata kusanya, nani bibi yako? Hata kikusanya siliko tuko hao. So, but you need a manager. Hapo ndio sisi tupotea. So, mimi nasema, okay, we artists wa kitambo, we tulipotea just because of one thing. We didn't believe in managers. But artists who are growing up today, like Nani, she's saying she has a manager today. We've seen the importance of having managers to manage you. Yes.
Okay. Cartoon, because Omosh amekumention sana by the way, na wendo mse mdogo zaidi kwa hii conversation, wendo kwanza umeingia kwa industry, expectations za mafans ni nyingi, but pia umechanuka na umeland reality venye hii situation si venye wase udhani, hii dosi mob venye wase udhani, na hii brand by the way saa ingine ufed. Let me just get your closing remarks, especially to wasanii wadogo kawe ambao ndio wameingia tu kwa industry.
First kwa interview learn a lot from comments ni wote mmesema. And I think for upcoming artists mwenye saindo anaanza na feel advice for one, ukianza kupata tu hiyo kafem kadogo, just try to tafuta mtu una trust, older mtu akona experience. That's why ni must tukwetu wasi wanapenda kulearn. Tafuta mse mwenye ukipata do kadhaa ujue venye utatumia, unatafuta good advice ya mali utaiweka, kama ni business itakuwa successful nini. Juu najua hizi pressure ni ukweli inakuja kwa society mostly. Juu umeniona maybe kwa TV ama nini, unakata kuniuzia vitu normal price. Mati na kwa expensive because umenijua. Everything is expensive based on how I perceive, unaona? So I guess tu ni kujipanga poa, good management, kujifunza tu kuishi life na hiyo pesa yako. Maybe unapata kidogo, unaishi kwa nyumba tu, na tu vizuri nikilipa hii rent, sitakosa za food. Unaona?
Asante.
Nimelan tu kujimaintain na Celebs kuingia kwa kichwa. Haita enter isiingie. Me and celebrity? No.
Thank you, Cartoon. Wonderful. And George, definitely you're a psychologist, and today we've just focused on celebrities alone. But depression is something that is facing everyone in our society, be it the president himself, be it celebrities, musicians, artists, actors, people in the media industry like myself, and even a common man in the street. As they would say, it doesn't discriminate. Let me just get your closing remarks to how we can deal with depression as a society, considering what we mentioned earlier, that 1 in 4 Kenyans actually needs mental health attention.
Thank you, Kiprop. Let me say, even a psychologist can get depression, or even a doctor who has all the knowledge that they have acquired in school. So my parting shot is that it's okay not to be okay. And when you're at a situation where you're not yourself, you're low, or you're not in your atom, just go ahead and talk to someone, break the silence. And of course, from this conversation, I'm sure many Kenyans have learned that it's okay to feel depressed. And I think from the text messages that we've been able to receive, many Kenyans have gone through depression or even anxiety. And for anyone out there who'd want to reach to us, they can call us through 0800-220-000. That is a toll-free number which they can call the hospital, and someone will be on the other side to help you and walk with you through the path of recovery. Thank you, Victor.
And there will be someone listening on the other end.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Pete, you said 52 years old. I mean, 30 years in the industry. Most of these things that people are struggling with, that is stressing, that Owen and cartoon comedian, are things you have seen.
Yeah.
Let me just get your parting shot.
Life is in seasons. Life is in seasons. And I think that that's important to understand. I got some really great mentors through my life, people who I've known 25, 30 years now in my life, who speak into my life, who help me. I can tell them everything that's going on in my life. So I think for me, to insulate yourself against some of the things that come your way. Over time, having understood that life is in seasons, I can go to my wife and say, hey, this is what I'm going through. I can go to my mentors and say, this is what I'm going through. I can go to my really close friends who are not in the industry and say to them, listen, I'm really Nico Vibaya. So I think it's important to just build a community around you who help you to ground yourself and find that life is in seasons. I've had #1 songs before and then, you know, nothing. You know, nimesota sana. In fact, now I'm starting to calculate. Nikitembea, this 10 bob that I have in my pocket, there's a save. I've been there, and I know what it's like to be in that space. So I think it's important to really understand life is in seasons, and don't take it so hard that because you've fallen in hard times that you're a personal failure. I think anybody can pick themselves up from the space that they find themselves in with the right help and the right support.
Hellen,
you're as good as your last dance. Don't just stay there. Celebrity utakuwa leo, kesho wanguke. What are you going to do? Yeah, in 3 things that make you powerful. Knowledge, go to school, learn. Don't just depend on the celebrityness. Get some knowledge in. And also money plus your fame. Top it up. The icing sugar, let it be God. If you know God, then you will find a place to land on.
Yes. Wonderful. And I think my biggest takeaway from today is it's okay not to be okay. And if you're struggling, it's good to talk. Ladies and gentlemen, many thanks, of course, to my guest this morning, Hellen Mtawali. She's the CEO of Afriza Voices. Peter Odera, of course, you know him, he's an artist and he's been doing this for 30 years. Can you believe that? Omosh, God, who doesn't know Omosh? And of course, George Njoroge is a psychologist at the Chiromo Hospital Group. And the youngest person in my panel this morning, cartoon comedian, also known as Vanessa, but you guys need to pay me for telling you that name. Many thanks. Just before we go, let's take that quick feedback if it's ready. Yes. Question of the day, we asked you, why are so many celebrities falling into depression? And this is what some of you said. Remember, you've sent a lot of feedback. We can't sample all of it, but this is what we could. And Q-Rez, it says, depression is real. And when someone comes out to say they are depressed, people tend to push them away by telling them, won't go. They even tell you that someone who is depressed doesn't know they are depressed. Wow. Thank you. Kipsang Evans, it says, due to the struggle to please fans. Thank you, Kipsang. I think we've highlighted that before. And Bahati Lakupanai says, because of competition from other and fear of losing their fame. Thank you, Bahati. And then we have, I think Curez is back again, and she says, kindness changes the world. It's the simple things that you extend to others that matter. Depression is real. Thank you, Curez. The last one we have, Ruth Kenya. She says, depression is highly prevalent in many people, not just celebrities. Many people are depressed out there, only that they are not in the limelight. For celebrities whose life is in public, it's much more easy to notice changes due to public appearances or lack of it. Thank you very much, Ruth, and that's all the feedback. Of course, we could sample from the thousands and thousands that you've sent us through this entire discussion. We thank you. We've thoroughly enjoyed your company through this conversation. Many thanks to my guests who have already mentioned. I have to close this conversation, but keep watching, because tomorrow we will be back with yet another exciting conversation about how COVID-19 has changed life as you know it. Are you still working from home? Are you back in the office now that COVID-19 has gone down a bit? We will be talking that and much more tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I've been your host, Victor Kiprop. Keep watching and take care.